All right. What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. Where I'm at right now, it's about 7:45 p.m., and today is January 6th. Sorry for turning on the live stream a bit late. I just got home from work, and now we are getting into our reading of the news for today. And I want to tell everybody, stay tuned. After this live stream, we're going to go live again and continue the reading of Black Men, White Women, Illicit Sex in the 19th Century South, a book by historian Martha Hodes that we started yesterday, and we're going to continue reading as well. Going to try to finish that book this week because this Thursday I'm actually traveling back to Louisiana. So if any of y'all want to ever, know where I come from, or y'all want to see my hood, I'm going to have, videos posted up about, where I came from, how I grew up, all that good stuff when I go back to Louisiana in a few days. So stay tuned for that as well. But anyway, like I said on my last live stream yesterday for reading the news, we were talking about the anniversary of the terrorist attack from Al-Qaeda, the terrorists that attacked the Capitol. And I just want to read two stories very briefly covering this historic event as we approach the 4-year anniversary of this day. I'll never forget where I was on January 6th. I had just got done smoking with my landlord in Serbia because he always used to come through with the pack. And he and I were like talking for a few hours. Then he left. I looked at my cell phone because I hadn't looked at my cell phone for like a long time, like hours or so. And I saw that there was a riot at the U.S. Capitol, like an alert from Apple News or something on my phone. I open it up and I then turn on the TV and I'm watching like mounds and mounds of white men, like in World War Z, piling over fences, beating up police officers, breaking windows, and putting their feet on the desks of sitting senators. It was a wild ride. I'll never forget seeing that on TV and being high as hell while watching that, and damn near kind of like scared, like, oh, this is how it's gonna start. Like, this is how, like, the worst of what Trump could do as president, basically making himself a dictator, turning himself into a fascist leader, calling a state of emergency. I thought it was going to happen that day. Luckily, it didn't, thanks to two black men who saved American democracy. But I'll never forget being in Serbia, high as hell, watching that on TV, like, damn. Thank God I'm abroad. Anyway, I got these stories right here. For many of us, January 6th never ended. I want y'all to all say it with me. Blue lives matter. Blue lives matter. Blue lives matter. This is the story of a police officer who was there during the attack on the Capitol, and he's talking about what he went through on that day. This was written by Aquilino Gonell. Aquilino Gonell. That is a very interesting Hispanic name. Mr. Gonell is a former sergeant in the Capitol Police and the author with Susan Shapiro of American Shield, the immigrant sergeant who defended democracy. So here's how the article goes. For those who didn't experience the violence, January 6, 2021 might feel like it's in the past, but it's not for me. I keep reliving the 5 horrific hours of that cold Wednesday afternoon as I tried to protect elected officials, regardless of their political ideology, and their staffs inside the Capitol building, all without firing my gun. For my efforts doing my duty as a Capitol Police sergeant, I was beaten and struck by raging rioters all over my body with multiple weapons until I was covered in my own blood. My hand, foot, and shoulder were wounded. I thought I was going to die and never make it home to see my wife and young son. Ain't that horrific? Ain't that horrific? Galaxis TG said hello. Hello to Galaxis and everybody else out there tuning in. Ozzy says, salute Simon, putting in the work. I got to come out the closet, Ozzy. I got to come out the closet and just tell y'all, I'm a Republican. I'm pulling myself up by my own bootstraps. All the MAGA black folks out there say black people just need to work harder. Black people need to stop being lazy. Black people need to get educated. I'm doing all of those things. I'm going to university, working hard on YouTube every day, working hard as an English teacher every day. Now let's see if I can get myself out of poverty. Let's put the Republican talking points to a test and see if it's possible for a young black man to rise out of poverty by grinding day in, day out for pennies. Anyway, Hermes Pop says, I don't know what that says, but shout out to the people sending emojis. Shout out to you, Amish. Shout out to you, Amish. So going here, over the last 4 years, it's been devastating to me to hear Donald Trump repeat his promise to pardon insurrectionists on the first day he's back in office. It will be my great honor to pardon the peaceful protesters, or as I call them, the hostages, he said in a speech last year. But all of us who were there and anyone who watched on TV knows that those who stormed the Capitol were not peaceful protesters. Pardoning them would be an outrageous mistake, one that could mean about 800 convicted criminals will be back on the street. It could also put me in danger, as I've continued to testify in court and I've given victim statements in cases against dozens of rioters who assaulted me and my fellow officers. It's very likely that one of those Trump supporters might kill this police officer for snitching on them. I was one of the fortunate ones that day. 9 people wound up dead as a result of the rampage. 2 protesters had fatal medical episodes. 1 rioter overdosed during the uproar, and another was fatally shot by a policeman while forcing her way into the House chamber. Yes, thank you for killing Ashley Babbitt. One of my colleagues, 42-year-old officer Brian Sicknick, suffered 2 strokes after the trauma of fighting off multiple protesters who sprayed him with a chemical irritant. He didn't survive. 4 D.C. policemen harmed in the riots later died by suicide. Ozzy says, Ashley Babbitt fucked around and found out. Yes, Ashley Babbitt got that shot to the dome. Headshot. Bam. Shout out to that brother that clocked that old white woman. Nelson Moreno says, I was in 4chan and I'm always surprised by how much they're obsessed with black people. I know. I could go on 4chan right now. Let's go on 4chan poll section right now. I'm going to look at poll. We're going to click on poll right here on 4chan, and let's be surprised by what we see. I might read some of that after I finish this article here. So let's go here. My friend Harry Dunn, the first law enforcement member to prominently condemn that brazen uprising, testified about our primitive hand-to-hand fighting against improvised weaponry like flagpoles, metal bike racks, and projectiles, with officers bleeding, blinded, and coughing from bear spray. Harry, who was called racial slurs, has since retired his blue uniform. My co-worker, Michael Fanone, was beaten, burned, and electrically shocked. He suffered a heart attack, concussion, and traumatic brain injury that caused him also to leave his position at the Metropolitan Police. While physically recovering, he's been the target of constant harassment from Trump supporters and has struggled to find steady work. Stephen Sund, who was the Capitol Police Chief, has been scapegoated and resigned under pressure. So many people, so many actual police officers, so many people that the Republicans say they want to back, they want to support. They say, don't defund the police. The police are our daddies. That Blue Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. They say all this stuff and literally like thousands. I was about to say tens of thousands, but it was probably thousands of MAGA supporters literally picked up flagpoles and MAGA flags and all sorts of weaponry and bashed police officers over the head. Insane. Ozzy says, it's insane, man. They wake up thinking about us. I mean, I'm on poll right now. I'm pretty sure the first thing I'm going to see is, what if your daughter is this? And it's like a picture of a black man standing next to like some little white girl. I'm pretty sure. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm on 4chan poll right now, and all they do is think about big black cock, right? Nelson Moreno says, I was on GIF for BBC Corn. Nelson Moreno says, yeah, Ozzy, I can't even get mad. It's just bizarre. Things are going to get worse, Simon, much worse. I know they're getting worse. But do you think things will get worse in Europe, Nelson? Because I'm in Europe, you're in Europe. Do you think they're going to do a Rosewood in Slovenia? Do you think they're going to pull a Rosewood in Hamburg in Germany? Let me know. What do you think is in the air? Anyway, I required multiple surgeries, years of rehab, and treatment for recurrences of the past traumatic stress disorder I was diagnosed with in the Army. I was vilified and called a traitor, as Mr. Trump and some of his fellow Republicans called the riot a day of love, and a peaceful protest by warriors, patriots, political prisoners, and mistreated hostages. Although I left the Capitol Police Force, I remain haunted by that day. Now Mr. Trump promised actions could erase the justice we've risked everything for. I never wanted to be a whistleblower or a troublemaker. I grew up poor in the Dominican Republic, came to this country legally at age 12, and became the first in my family to finish high school and college. I lived in Brooklyn, just a few miles from where Mr. Trump grew up in Queens. Yet the metaphoric distance between us was vast. My dad was a taxi driver driver who could give me only $100 to help pay for college. Mr. Trump's father was a real estate developer who bequeathed him at least $413 million over the years. While Mr. Trump escaped the Vietnam draft, medical exemption for bone spurs, and never served in the military, I finished my degree with the help of the GI Bill, and I enlisted and served in the Middle East. What I experienced defending the Capitol against rioters was worse than the combat I saw in Iraq. What helped me was bearing witness. In the 4 years since the riot, about 1,561 defendants have been federally charged with January 6 crimes, many of them serious felonies, ranging from unlawfully entering restricted grounds with weapons to seditious conspiracy. Approximately 590 defendants have been charged with assault on a federal officer, and 169 have been charged with crimes involving serious bodily harm to a police officer, including assault using a deadly or dangerous weapon. The weapons included swords, axes, knives, taser-like devices, baseball bats, hockey sticks, and reinforced knuckle gloves. More than 300 pleaded guilty to felonies, and more than 200 were found guilty at trial. Nelson Moreno says they're going to get much worse in Europe, but I think one of these far-right parties can mess up things for the continent. Yeah, I mean, I can see that happening here in Hungary as well. I mean, we have a far-right government leading the way. But I think generally, as bad as the far right is in Europe, I don't think they're at that point where they want to throw the Muslims, the blacks, the Africans in general into concentration camps. I don't see it yet. I know it could happen because this is the land where all of the wickedest stuff that you could ever imagine in humanity happening. I'm pretty sure it could happen. I just don't feel it right now. I just don't feel it right now. Ozzy says, dude, probably one of those me no black Dominicans. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Do I have a picture of him? I don't think I have a picture of him. This might be him right here. But we know, we love doing the bachata and saying, me no black puppy, me no black puppy. We love doing that. That's my favorite meme. Anyway, continuing here. Releasing those who assaulted us from blame would be a desecration of justice. If Mr. Trump wants to heal our divided nation, he'll let their convictions stand. Although I don't blame all Trump supporters, some of my own relatives support him. How could you have a son, a nephew, a cousin, a brother, a friend who works at the Capitol, got beat up by MAGA supporters, almost killed, and you say, yep, I'm gonna vote for that guy again. Like, that shows a lot of Hispanics are literally crazy. They're sick in the head. A lot of Hispanics are sick in the head. Your own amigo, your own hijo, your own hermano, your own tío got hit over the head by the gringo, and you're still saying MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. A lot of the Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Hispanics by and large who are Americanized are sick in the head. They're infected with white supremacy. Literally, the white folks could spit in their face and they'll open up their mouth and eat it as long as they say, me no black puppy, me no black puppy. Anyway, Trump called those people heroes. Yes, he sure did. Nelson Moreno says top posts are about Elon Musk right now on poll. All right. I didn't even check poll. We're still reading about January 6th. We might read some poll, a little bit of poll. Nelson Moreno says they just want to be white. It's a way to fit in and escape racism. But that's the thing. They can't escape racism, though, because the whites know that they're not white. The whites know that they're not white, but they'll still open up their mouth and let a white man spit in their face and beat up their own cousins who work as police officers, all in the name of white supremacy. All just to have the psychic benefit of not being black. It's crazy, but me no black poppy. Me no black. Me no black poppy. I'm going to start playing some bachata in here. I'm going to play some bachata and do some bachata dances while I say me no black poppy. All right. So continuing here. Although I don't blame all Trump supporters, some of my relatives support Trump. I do detest what MAGAism did to me and my team on January 6th. I resent the ongoing whitewashing, the barbarity, and the collective amnesia of right-wing politicians who aren't willing to hold Mr. Trump accountable. I can't bear to hear Republicans describe themselves as the law and order party. Mr. Trump is returning to the presidency at 78, while I had to leave a career I'd worked for my whole life at 42 as a result of injuries suffered while doing my job. I sometimes wonder why I risked my life to defend our elected officials from a mob inspired by Mr. Trump, only to see him return to power stronger than ever. It's hard to witness a rich white man get rewarded for treachery while I'm punished for fulfilling my duty. Maybe that's why so many people don't do the right thing, because it's hard and it hurts. When Mr. Trump recently proclaimed that members of the House January 6th committee should go to jail, Representative Jamie Raskin responded, "In America, we jail people only for having committed criminal offenses that they are found guilty of by a unanimous jury of their peers. We don't jail people for doing their jobs and living up to their constitutional oaths of office." It gave me hope when Mr. Raskin further reminded everyone that Mr. Trump was impeached for his role in inspiring a violent insurrection against the Constitution. I admire Republicans like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger who put fairness before party despite being censured and threatened for their work on the committee. At least I get to hear my son call me his hero, as we remember the people who put everything on the line to protect our democracy and continue to tell the truth about January 6th. All right, and those are the words of Aquilino Ganel. That's a name I cannot pronounce. That is a wild Hispanic name. Let's see, Aquilino Ganel. So here's Aquilino. That nigga black as hell, but I'm pretty sure he would say, "Me no black, poppy." Boy, you black as hell. Boy, you look at least like two of my cousins. But he would probably say, "Me no black, poppy. Me no black." Anyway, yeah, that's crazy. What a crazy story, man. This man is a hero, low-key, though. Once again, a bunch of black men saved America that day. A bunch of black men saved America that day, whether they say "Me no black poppy" or not. A bunch of black men saved America on January 6th. So I disagree with a lot of the people who are voting in the poll right now saying January 6th should not be a national holiday. January 6th should be National Kiss a Black Man Day, because black men continue to save America's democracy, from Crispus Attucks to Michael Goodman, the guy who, got chased down by those white supremacists in the Capitol, to the black man that shot Ashley Babbitt in the face, to this guy right here who fought against the terrorists who tried to take over the Capitol. January 6th should be National Kiss a Black American Man Day, because black men continue to save American democracy. So this should be a holiday, honestly, because so many black men stood up when the white supremacists were trying to destroy their own democracy. Ain't it crazy? Anyway, Nelson Moreno says they just want to be white. It's a way to fit in and escape racism. Sorry, I already read that. Yeah, they want to escape racism. Calvin Jackson said traitors gonna trade. Ain't that the truth? Yes, white supremacists are traitors to their own constitution. All right. Nelson Moreno says, I think Drake is the biggest menace towards black culture. Partially. I mean, because Drake will fuck all of our girls. Nelson Moreno says, let's sing Not Like Us again. They not like us. Once upon a time, all of us were in chains. Homie still doubled down, calling us some slaves. Why does Kendrick sound like that now? Anyway, let's look at the Al Cracker terrorist. Hey, this is the face of a person you should cross the street from when he comes walking down your way. This is a person who I definitely not hire to work at my company. This is somebody that needs an 800 credit score to rent a closet in my apartment that I own. This is somebody who cannot get the job that I have offered because now all of a sudden the position is filled. This is somebody who I would not allow my daughter to date or marry or even be seen holding hands with. This is somebody who hates America. This is the face of a terrorist. This is face of Al Cracker. This is the face of somebody who should be in Guantanamo. This is the face of somebody who smells like mayonnaise and rotten cheese. This is the face of somebody who definitely can't dance but can tell you how to make a pipe bomb. This is the face of somebody who definitely would suck Donald Trump's dick if he had the chance. This is the face of somebody who doesn't understand that Kamala Harris is biracial. This is the face of somebody who has not read a book since Dr. Seuss. This is the face of somebody who definitely thinks 9/11 was a bad job and somehow it relates to the people that wear small hats and live in the Middle East. This is the face of somebody who definitely is on pole 24/7. This is the face of an Al Cracker terrorist. This is the face of white supremacy. These are January 6th rioters 4 years later. Hundreds of rioters accused of nonviolent crimes during the attack on the Capitol have wrapped up their cases. Here's what some of their lives look like now. All right, let's read what some of these terrorists are up to. This was published on January 6th by Alan Fuhr. In the past 4 years, nearly 1,600 people have been prosecuted in the connection with the storming of the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Some were accused of felonies like assault or seditious conspiracy and are still in prison. But hundreds charged with lesser crimes have wrapped up their cases and returned to their lives. January 6 was a turning point for everyone involved. In breaching the Capitol, a mob of Trump loyalists caused millions of dollars in damage, injured more than 140 police officers, and for the first time in American history, chased lawmakers away from their duty to certify a presidential election. The attack also prompted the largest single investigation the Justice Department has ever undertaken, leading to arrests in all 50 states. Ever since, the defendants have been held to account in Washington's federal courthouse, blocks away from the Capitol itself, for their roles in undermining a bedrock of democracy, the peaceful transfer of power. All right, here are the faces of some more Al-Qaeda terrorists. People that in Guantanamo, people that should be in a CIA black site in the Philippines. This guy right here definitely got small dick energy and definitely is angry about the Jews. Let's continue here. While some have come to regret their actions on that day, others do not. At best, they say they have seen the realities of the criminal justice system, becoming more sympathetic to the plights of others facing prosecution. At worst, they remain convinced that the system treated them unfairly, hardened by their brushes with the law. The judges who have overseen Capitol riot cases have routinely pushed back on that idea. I have shocked to watch some public figures try to rewrite history, claiming rioters behaved in an orderly fashion, like ordinary tourists, or martyrizing convicted January 6 defendants as political prisoners, or even, incredibly, hostages. Judge Royce C. Lamberth, a Reagan appointee, said in court last year, "That is all preposterous. Republicans and MAGA know they lost the plot. When judges who were appointed by Ronald Reagan are even saying, y'all tripping, these are terrorists." Still, President-elect Donald J. Trump has promised to pardon many, maybe most, of the rioters as soon as he takes office and could shut down the broad investigation into the Capitol attack. Here are some of the experiences of some defendants accused of relatively minor crimes 4 years after January 6th. Let's go to this look, man, for all the black MAGA folks out there, for all the black MAGA folks, these are who you're palling around with. This man has no qualms about calling you a nigger to your face. This man, you looking at this man's lips, just look at this nigga's lips. This man has said the racial slurs that you can't even imagine. This man says moon cricket. This man still calls black people like shine. You get what I'm saying? And he ain't talking about the rapper. This is, Nelson Moreno says, a dying race. This is the face of a dying breed of people. Look at the inbredness. Look at the blue blood. Look at the wickedness in his eyes. This is who Black MAGA is palling around with. People that would spit in your face and call you a shoe shine boy. You get what I'm saying? This is like, he looks like one of the background characters in Rosewood that was like lynching people. You get what I'm saying? This is who MAGA is. This is who all of these black MAGA folks are piling around with. These crack-ass crackers, these inbred fentanyl smelling crackers, these meth dick pipe smoking crackers, man. This is who y'all are piling around with, man. Absolutely disgusting. And this man's a terrorist, full-on terrorist. Man, locked up in jail. And this is who Trump's partner. Boy, don't tell me white supremacy don't exist. Don't tell me white supremacy don't exist. Anyway, let's continue here. So on January 6th, Eric Clark was 3 years sober and had more or less settled into a middle-class life as a machine operator in Louisville, Kentucky, after years of battling homelessness and drug addiction. But the belief that Mr. Trump won the 2020 election led him to illegally enter the Capitol in a Guy Fawkes mask and refused to leave for nearly 30 minutes. Mr. Clark was sentenced to 5 months in prison. Now 48, he is working on a drywall cleanup crew, trying to put his life back together. His one great success, he said, is the relationship he has built with his daughter, even though it was she who turned him into the authorities to begin with. That's how you know how bad you are. Number one, if your own daughter turn you into the feds, If your own daughter turned you into the feds, Kelvin Jackson said he slept with his own sister. If your own inbred daughter, that is the product of incest between you and your sister, turns you into the feds, you know you bad. You know you a bad motherfucker, man. Anyway, instead of being mad at her, Eric said, I've chosen to accept that she has her viewpoint and I have mine. She read books and I don't. Anyway, let's look at another musty, crusty mayonnaise man. Look at this caveman here. Look at this abominable snowman. Look at this motherfucker who definitely tears apart car parts to make meth pipes. Look at this fentanyl mouth-having motherfucker. Look at this West Virginia Tom Cruise. Look at this motherfucker who looks like Brad Pitt if he was living under a motherfucking overpass. Look at these cracker-ass cracker. Look at the O-phase. Look at these dirty, musty O-phase. Look at the musty O-phase. Let's continue here. So this person here, his name is Jacob Chansley. Few people are more visibly associated with the Capitol attack than Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman who entered the building in face paint and a horned headdress while brandishing an American flag on a spear-tipped flagpole. Moving with the first wave of rioters, he left a threatening note on the Senate floor for Vice President Mike Pence, who had to be hustled to safety as the mob overwhelmed the Capitol. Kelvin Jackson says, I smell bologna. Boy, this man smelled like white bread. He smelled like mayonnaise. He smelled like ranch. He smelled like he smelled like that cheese that comes in that little foldable plastic wrap. This man is a mayonnaise man. This man is a mayonnaise man. Total mayonnaise man. Yet, like others who disrupted the election certification that day, Mr. Chansley seeks to cast the 41-month sentence he received as experiencing tyranny firsthand. Even after his release, he maintains January 6th was a setup by the government and that public officials and the news media have painted him as a villain and a terrorist. Still, Mr. Chansley, 37, said his day-to-day life in Phoenix creating art remains much the same as before that day, other than I get more interviews than now. Let's go here to another yeast beast. Look at this fat fuck. Look at this Pillsbury Doughboy. Look at this no swag having caveman. Look at look at Yakub's devil. Everybody take a look at a fucking terrorist, Daniel Kreisman. Daniel Kreisman, a fat doughboy. Ozzy says, no cap, if I was an officer that day, I would have caught 100 bodies. And you would be a national hero, Ozzy. We would have looted you. We would have stood up, applauded. We would have sent money. We would have put it on your books. We would have done everything for you. But these yeast beasts, these snow devils, these cave dwellers, are rotting under jail. This is Black MAGA's best friend. If you Black MAGA, this is your best friend. This is who you're coming over to dinner with. This is whose unseasoned chicken you're eating. Black MAGA, I want y'all to realize who you're palling around with. Boys who hang out on pole and type nigga all day. That's who you're palling around with now. Anyway, let's continue here. Daniel Kreisman was 38 when he was arrested on misdemeanor charges after entering the Capitol on January 6th through a broken window. At the time, Mr. Kreisman, who lives in New York City, had worked as a plumber and as an activist journalist and had run for public office in New York. Working with his defense lawyers during his prosecution so inspired him that he returned to school after serving his 25-day sentence. He expects to graduate in May from St. Joseph's College in Brooklyn. And now, at 42, he is applying to law school and wants to be a lawyer who can battle what he sees as the excesses of the government. Not unlike the federal defender who first came to his aid, he said. I just felt like what went on in my case was so bizarre and unjust that I knew we needed more fighters like her, Mr. Kreisman said. So I gotta say this. I got to keep it real. For him to go back to school and want to be a lawyer, that's actually a good thing. I'll always applaud everybody, anybody, black or white, and I'm putting all the jokes aside, anybody going back to school, I applaud you because I'm going back to school at a later age and it's not easy. So I applaud him for doing that. But what I find very disturbing is that there might be a racist, white supremacist, terrorist lawyer. You know, sometimes I do background checks on the people that leave comments in my video, and a lot of the white supremacists, even though they don't have their picture on their YouTube profile, if you copy and paste the name, you can find out who they are. And I got a very disturbing message a few days ago from a white man who wanted to comment, talk slick under my channel and say, yeah, the Africans don't like the American blacks either. And so I copied his name, looked him up. He's a lawyer that lives in Austin, Texas, coming on Simon Hill Keeps It Trail's YouTube channel to post racist comments. Now that should make you disturbed. And once again, I don't allow a lot of these white supremacists to have a voice or a platform on my channel, but it should disturb all of you. Because when I look and see who's commenting under my videos, calling me the N-word, calling me monkey, saying all sorts of negative stuff about black people, those are your cops, those are your judges, those are your kids' teachers. Those are your plumbers. Those are your electricians. Those are the white folks you wave hi at. They're your next door neighbor. They're your co-workers. They're your boss. They out there. The white supremacists and racists are out there. And what I've learned making this YouTube channel has showed me that anti-blackness is bigger than you can ever imagine. Making my YouTube channel radicalized me just as much as growing up in Louisiana. Making my YouTube channel radicalized me just as much as growing up in Louisiana. Because when you have anonymous white folks calling you the N-word all day, oh, best believe I'm going to turn up even more. And best believe we're going to continue to fight white supremacy and talk about that and expose that. This is why you never hear me on my channel talking about black people this or black people that or black people or have a ghetto culture or rap music and any of that. You never hear me say that because these crackers are out here doing the most heinous shit, and there's enough to talk about with the O-phase before I ever talk about what the niggas is up to. You feel me? I just had to go on a little rant right there because that's disturbing that this white man right here, after breaking into the Capitol and serving time in a federal prison, might get out and be a lawyer. And you know he's on 4chan. Okay? Kelvin Jackson, sorry, I'm going to go read the comments real quick. Nelson Moreno says they want war. Okay, Kelvin Jackson said, they embrace a lie and they curse the truth. Facts, facts, facts. Ozzy says, wow, I thought Austin was liberal too. Born racist white folks all over Texas. Stop playing. Kelvin Jackson said, yes, sir. Okay, anyway, let's look at another Mayo Beast, who is a domestic terrorist. Look at this. Oh my God, he looks like he says, get her done. He looks like he lives in a trailer park. He looks like his favorite rapper is Eminem, Machine Gun Kelly, Post Malone, Jack Harlow, and Vanilla Ice on a good day. Boy looks like he has no swag, no soul. Boy looks like black pepper is too spicy for him. Man looks like his dick is this long and this thick. Man out here trying to holler at Filipino hookers that are boy toys, that are lady boys. You feel me? Let's talk about Casey Cusick. Casey Cusick, a part of the master race. Let's look at what the master race is up to. Casey Cusick didn't know much about the federal criminal justice system before he was convicted at trial of 4 misdemeanors for unlawfully entering the Capitol. But Mr. Cusick, a 39-year-old car dealer from Tulsa, Oklahoma, says he now understands a little more about the cost of being held to account for his role in an attack that prosecutors say threatened the peaceful transfer of power. He lost his small business as a handyman, good, after his case was featured on the local news. And he says he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees. Mr. Cusick also said he remains shocked by the harsh realities that accompany facing federal charges. Everything from giving up his firearms and his passport when his case first started to the condition of the prison where he served his 10-day sentence. This man bitching and moaning about a 10-day sentence. Stop playing. It changed my mind forever about the criminal justice system, he said. I'll never look at the term prisoner the same again. The only good thing that can come out of this, of having so many white folks enter the federal prison system or state prison system, and they come out, is that maybe they understand prison abolition, or at the very least prison reform. Because it was okay to have prisons have draconian sentences and subhuman standards of living when it was nothing but black and brown folks up in prison. But now that the Mayo people are up in jail, maybe they'll develop some empathy and actually lobby their politicians to change the outcome. But that's only because they're in there. Anyway, what do we have to say about this Wild West cowboy? This wet bussy having motherfucker who rides horseback with motherfucking dildos attached to the saddle. Or what are we talking about here, man? Cooey Griffin? What type of name is that? Cooey Griffin? Who are naming these cave beasts? I swear, white folks want to talk about black people got horrible names. How do white folks come up with these horrible names? Anyway, continuing here. Not much in Couey Griffin's life is the same as it was before he was found guilty of illegally climbing over walls in the restricted grounds of the Capitol and sentenced to 14 days in prison. He used to own a restaurant. Now, he says, he repairs golf carts. He once served as a commissioner in Otero County, New Mexico, but 2 years ago he was removed from his office under the 14th Amendment. That made him the first public official in more than a century to be barred from serving under a constitutional ban on insurrectionists holding office. Still, his enthusiasm for Mr. Trump remains undimmed. It's been difficult, he said, but I believe that the people who support me and know me, their support has only grown stronger. All right, what do we have to say about our first snow bunny up in this thing? Kelvin Jackson says, hurt people, hurt people. Do we want to hurt Jenna Ryan? Do we want to make Jenna Ryan clap, clap, clap? Do we want to make it clap on Jenna Ryan? I say no. I say no. I say that thing smells like yeast infection. I say that thing smells like unseasoned turkey on Thanksgiving. I say that thing smells like cranberry sauce that's been left out in the desert. This thing is not what we want. We don't want that wildebeest. Take that wildebeest away from me. We don't want that. Anyway, Jenna Ryan was a real estate broker and social media influencer in the Dallas area when she entered the Capitol on January 6th, praying and chanting, "Fight for Trump," with the crowd in the rotunda. The next day, she posted a message on Twitter saying, "We just stormed the Capitol, y'all. It was one of the best days of my life." All of that ultimately led to a 60-day prison term. She claims that she was treated harshly because of her public profile as a January 6th defendant. But being sentenced for illegally demonstrating in the Capitol also allowed her to fulfill what she describes as her lifelong goal of being a writer and a speaker. Miss Ryan, 54, has written a book called Storming the Capitol, My Truth About January 6th, which she says shows how it feels to be caught in the middle of polarized political climate, canceled by society, surveilled by the FBI, and thrown in prison for a tweet. Okay. Anyway, what do we say? What do we got to say about here? Traumatized Evans. This man looks like the Dos Equis man. The Dos Equis man on meth. This man looks like trailer park, the trailer park manager. You get what I'm saying? This man is the mayor of Mayoville. What are we talking about here? Traumatized Evans? Look at this cave beast. Look at this cave beast terrorist. Oh no, y'all are going to be disappointed by the last one. We're going to save that one for last, but let's go. So Traumatized Evans said he wasn't all that interested in politics before the 2020 election, but he became steeped in the subject since January 6th when he stepped through a broken window at the Capitol and used a megaphone to lead other rioters in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Star-Spangled Banner. Mr. Evans, who is 50 and lives near San Antonio, Texas, was sentenced to 20 days in prison after pleading guilty to entering the Capitol's restricted grounds. Like other rioters, he emerged from the experience focused less on his own culpability than on the larger travails of being subject to criminal prosecution. In the past 4 years, he has spent much of his time on a group he founded, Condemned USA, which provides legal support and public advocacy to hundreds of others who took part in the Capitol attack. Okay. So he says, I used to believe in our judicial system, he said, but now I see what generations upon generations of minorities and people of lower income have been complaining about. Very interesting. I'm glad he finally said that. I'm glad he finally said that. That's the one thing we can hope for all of this MAGA mess. But unfortunately, of course, my guy, James Beeks, of course, we have to have Black MAGA in this thing. I'm so sorry for this brother, but this is the brother who likes to, this picture is the face of where the white women at. This is the one black man that studied the blade, if you get that joke. Ozzy says, can we get some raccoons in the chat? Can we? Drop the raccoons in the chat for the black terrorists. Oh, no, not you, Carlton Banks. Not you, Urkel. No, Urkel, no. Urkel, no. Oh, God. I'm going to finish up here. So when James Beeks went to Washington on January 6th with the Oath Keepers, he was hanging out with the Oath Keepers? Damn. Okay, so when James Beeks went to Washington on January 6th with the Oath Keepers militia, his chosen profession distinguished him from many of his compatriots in the far-right organization, which played a central role in breaching the Capitol. Mr. Beeks was a 5-time Broadway performer, reprising the part of Judas in the 50th anniversary production of Jesus Christ Superstar. I want to ask y'all this, and we're not homophobic on this channel. JS Venture says that's actually Avery in real life. I gotta ask all this. Is this a gay brother? Y'all think this brother gay? This is so crazy. You black, you gay, you on Broadway, and you hanging out with MAGA in the broad daylight. Man, I don't know, bruh. James Beeks, how you a black, gay, MAGA Broadway star? Diva, diva, diva. Oh my God. Anyway. After being accused in a conspiracy indictment of forcibly entering the Capitol in a military-style attack with other Oath Keepers, Mr. Beeks was found not guilty by a judge who ruled that the evidence did not support the charges. Wow, he was one of only 2 of the dozens of January 6th defendants who have gone to trial and been fully acquitted. This is so rare. Mr. Beeks was found not guilty. That's crazy. That's crazy. How is a black man? See, maybe the world is totally upside down. Because we got right-wing people supporting Luigi Mangione for like killing a CEO. And we got men beating the feds. We have black men beating the feds. And we have a white criminal in the Oval Office. Make it make sense. I don't understand. Make it make sense. That's crazy. My man beat the feds. Okay. He was one of only 2 of the dozens of January 6th defendants who have gone to trial and been fully acquitted. But despite being cleared in the case, he said, his life has not gone back to normal. He is living in a friend's van in Florida, finishing a book about his experience, I Am Judas Redeemed, and he has not returned to the stage since his arrest. I still have this J6 scarlet letter on my chest, he said. All right, well, that's it. We're going to wrap it up here. Y'all say bye to James Beeks. And shout out to everybody who jumped into the chat. Y'all stay tuned. Please stay tuned for the reading of the book, Black Men, White Women, Illicit Sex, the 19th Century South. It's a great book that we're reading by Martha Hodes for the Book React series. We're going to only read chapter 2 today, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a fun discussion as well. All right. JS Venture says Avery was going to become Mr. Cheeks. Shout out to JS Ventures. Shout out to Kelvin Jackson. Shout out to Ozzy. Shout out to Nelson Moreno. Shout out to C. Dot. And shout out to everybody else who jumped in the chat. Amish, Pap, and Ozzy, and Galaxis TG.